at annual, super exciting. We've already got a lot of partners, so sort of a little capacity limited for net new. But really SaaStr is designed to help you reach, the top up and coming SaaS companies from around the world. And we bring together a lot of speakers, sponsors, attendees. It's actually quite a lot of fun. Lots of great content. I think something our attendees tell us every year is like it's tactical. So it's super tactical content. People take a lot of like handwritten notes. They bring their teams. Some folks do like team offsites during annual or like team meetings. So really cool to bring the whole company together and the whole community. So that's it about that. We've actually been hosting SaaStr Annual since 2015. SaaStr started back in 2012. So this will be our 7th SaaStr Annual. We've had them in a variety of places around the Bay Area. I'll get into our venue. And then obviously, as you see, for those who may or may not know, we've done a ton of digital events. Our next digital event is SaaStr Enterprise, which is the background I'm rocking. That is coming up at the end of May. It'll be our 7th digital event. 7's our lucky number today. 7th digital event as well. Come to that if you're thinking about coming to the annual. It'll be a good sort of taste of how we do content, speakers, sponsorships. But yeah, our flagship event is the SaaStr Annual. It's our biggest, most largest event. We typically have other international events, as you guys can see from this. And we've got a whole schedule of annual 2022, plus more in-person meetups, international events slotted for next year too. So lots of good things coming up. But we do want to focus today on the SaaStr Annual 2021. I know a lot of you have been itching to get back to in-person events. So this is a 3-day conference, as I mentioned. It's online and in person, back in the Bay Area. For those, who are maybe outside the Bay Area, the area is really starting to come alive these days. There's parking enforcements are coming back, traffic is coming back. So that's a key indicator of SaaS coming back. I feel like those go hand in hand. We are expecting more than 25,000 hybrid attendees. Again, we pride ourselves of having high quality tactical content session. We are also known for our networking. So we do a lot of networking a variety of ways, both digitally and in person. A lot of top CEOs already speaking, which I'll show you guys next. And then we do cool like mentoring sessions. We do like fun Q&As. There is availability for sponsors to get involved on the content side, as well as the mentorship. There's fun evening activities. We usually have like a big party on like the first sort of full day. We do happy hours every day in the sponsor hall, and really we designed the sponsor hall to be the hub, which we'll show you guys on our map of what that looks like. And we've obviously taken a lot of enhancements this year to have enhanced health and safety protocols to make sure everybody not only feels safe, but comfortable coming to the annual event. So we are actually going to be the first major business meeting to be held in San Mateo County. As of the SFA area, as of today, there's not really other in-person events going on. So that's exciting for us because we've been putting in the work behind the scenes to make sure we can host this event. So a bit more about that there if you guys haven't seen some of the news that came out this week about the annual. Some of our speakers that we already have lined up, we have actually many more than this, but some of our headliners for this year, Bessemer Venture Partners. So Byron and his team with Elliot and Mary do the State of the Cloud. Every year they've done a digital version with us for the last few events, which has been super cool of them. They're coming back in person in the Bay Area. We've got Trip Actions, Vimeo, Datadog, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Andreessen, Zapier, a lot of up and comers. And again, we have many more than this. It's just a snapshot. So lots of cool speakers. Some of your SaaStr faves are coming back if you've been to an annual. So should be a super cool event. So there's a bit of an overview here. I'm actually going to skip around a little bit. So let me show you guys what annual will look like. So this is our sort of campus map, as we call it. So this is our SaaStr Annual, what it's going to be, how it's laid out. A few important things to keep in mind if you are thinking about partnering, sponsoring, attending. Obviously, registration is going to be a focal point for this year because registration is coupled with health and safety checkpoints. I'll get into just a little bit of that. Just know that we are doing certain health and safety protocols, like making sure everyone's vaccinated, using temperature screening, using rapid testing where we need to, doing verifications with our health and safety partners, all that fun stuff. We actually have a system where we'll be able to do also like contactless badge scanning, mostly contactless reg. So we're thinking through all those things, right? So not only will you feel safe, but you'll also feel comfortable being back at an in-person event. So lots there. We've got our health and safety guidelines posted up on SaaStrannual.com. You can read the full thing. We're happy to answer any questions that come up related to it as you're chatting with Brian and team. And then you'll see the sponsors are actually the first thing you see after you walk in is the sponsor area. I'll show you guys a zoomed in version of what that looks like next. And you'll see our main stages purposely right next to the sponsor hall. So something we do different maybe from other traditional conferences, because we're more of a community meetup, is we do put the sponsors at the center focus of the event. So if you guys have ever been to annual or unfamiliar with the show, we really put we've put the sponsor hall historically like in between our two main stages. This year we're putting it in between where people walk in and out and our core main stage. So people will be going back and forth. It's also where we put food, it's where we put activations, we put another stage in the sponsor hall. We put a lot of fun stuff. All the happy hours are in there. So there will be consistent foot traffic. One thing to note is a lot of this is actually going to be outside this year. So one of the health and safety protocols and precautions we're taking into account is how can we have a larger gathering, but also have it, again, feel safe, have everyone feel comfortable. So we are moving to the San Mateo County Event Center. It's indoor, outdoor. We're utilizing mainly the outdoor space. It's about 90% outside. There are some indoor spaces. So if you need to go in and cool off or recharge, there will be that. We'll all be distanced, governed by masks. So there'll be plenty of room for that too. But most of what you'll be going to will be outside. Again, as most of you, I think, know, being outside promotes greater airflow. It's just a lot safer to be outside than trapping things indoors. But for the indoor spaces, we do have, again, which will be just a few activations for folks to really just take a break from being outside. They will have, we've already been working with the venue on a lot of air circulation, leaving doors open, pointing fans, having filters, and just spacing things out in general. So the indoor spaces are actually quite large and above and beyond what we usually need for these spaces, which is good. So we can spread folks out. We'll have, PPE, shields, that sort of stuff, and plenty of signage to direct you. So it'll be mostly outdoors though. So the sponsors will be outdoors as well. Basically meaning you'll have a covering. We're basically giving each sponsor an individual tent with their traditional booth. So you'll have actually quite a bit of space and actually a footprint with this new setup being outside. A lot of the branding we're doing with our sponsors is forward facing. So from afar, attendees will be able to see you and then come and interact with you. So lots of cool stuff there. We've got the rest of the things on this map. We've got some cool workshops. We've got a matcha and mixers garden. So this will be a fun sort of like concerts type stage. It'll have a DJ, it'll have content, it'll have food and drinks. It's going to be a fun time over there. And we have a lot of stage. We're basically spreading our stages and our speakers out again so that everybody can feel super comfortable being outside, and lots of stages and content. So that's really our focal point. But as you can see, we've put a lot of work into making sure these sponsors are the hub of the event. So just a bit about that there. So this is a zoomed in version of what I just showed you guys was like a little box of the sponsor expo hall outside. This is a zoomed in version where you can see the actual layout and floor plan. One thing to note, and then I'll pass it over to Brian, is obviously you can see our expo is actually almost sold out. We have limited inventory for new partnerships. Obviously, we want to make sure things are distanced. There is actually, you can't really tell on this map, there is room between booths. Everybody has their own tent. It's distance. You're not sharing a wall with anyone if you're used to that at conferences. It's not happening here. But limited inventory does remain for new partnerships because we've had a lot of signups already. So Our bronze booths are actually sold out. There's a few golds, super golds. There's a handful of platinums and actually only one diamond. So if you want to be this box, you talk to this guy, Brian. Brian, anything you want to add on this map?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Amelia. Man, I'm jazzed up right now. So first and foremost, I think Amelia really put it front and center that we're going to make health a big important factor this year. But additionally, we know there's a lot of brands that are not able to join us in person, and so the virtual component is something that we're also able to help facilitate, and we're going to be able to help promote as well. And it's going to be just as impactful. So please, don't feel like if you're not in person, you can't participate. That being said, yes, we have an overwhelming amount of interest for our annual this year, which is really encouraging over, the last couple of days, just seeing how many brands have reached out and expressed interest and are pumped to be there. So if you are going to be in person, it is going to be an impactful few days of networking and meeting and doing it in a great, safe environment. That being said, don't wait. Get in touch, reach out. We're trying to find you, but find us first. It's probably behooves you because, as the old saying goes, the early bird will get the worm in this case. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Something else just to call out. I know Amelia had said it earlier, we do have a series of things that are going to be on the forefront as well. So, a lot of the brands that have been doing the digital events and the in-person events with us are creating a series and a talk track behind it, right? So we want to create that ongoing conversation, and we can incorporate you in terms of how we're thinking about SaaStr in this new world of hybrid interactions. So we do have a multitude of different opportunities. That being said, our community will be in full representation at SaaStr Annual, right? So for those of you that are maybe not or maybe lesser familiar with who is coming or how we've evolved over time, our community is a real rich and diverse subset from everything from SMB to enterprise, right? We are not just a small event focused on small companies. It is an event that has everyone, and we have the top names in SaaS talking about who are the movers and shakers coming to do and lead those conversations. So thought leadership will be front and center. So you'll see, we put a couple of our top partners in the top right there that you could see that have been returning, but this is really scratches the surface. If you go to our website, SaaStrAnnual.com, you will see a full list of the companies that are coming this year, and it's very encouraging, very, very encouraging. Yeah, Amelia.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think for those who don't know, obviously, like I think more traditional trade shows, right? Something that sets sort of SaaStr apart is a lot of our attendees are VP and above, right? Which we have called out at the bottom here. A lot of, directors, revenue leaders, people such as Brian and myself come to the show. It's not just like SDRs kind of.
Yeah, no. And don't get me wrong, right? Like I was one of those leaders that sent an SDR team to the show. That'll happen. But the reality is that people come to SaaStr, they're coming to the event to learn, right? They're coming to learn, they're trying to understand what's happening in a space. And let me say, like coming into like a year after having a down year last year, it is going to be off the wall. People are beaming and ready to rock. So I'm excited. The response on our calls with our partners has been very encouraging. People are excited to get back in person and meet people, maybe share a cocktail in a safe way. So it's definitely going to be that. I think also just to state too, right? Like we will have opportunities to create different unique experiences. For instance, those brands that are in person and digital, or that are going to go digital, the digital component is just as exciting. We have a ability for your leadership team, for your brand to be on the SaaStr stage and speak in front of a public and capture a captivated audience that's built for you. Great lead gen opportunity, great exposure opportunity. And I know how sought after that position on the SaaStr stage is, to be speaking on our stage. It's something that people want, and that's part of the reason why these sponsorships sell out so quickly. So don't wait. I feel like I'm on an infomercial, but don't wait.
Call Brian today.
Call
188
client, yes,
SaaStr.
yeah, 1999, and you can get one free. Yeah.
All right. We do have a number of levels, right? Something that's not in the map, Brian. I don't know if you want to touch on sort of our Decacorn and Unicorn sponsorships for a second here.
Yeah. So our Decacorn and Unicorn sponsorships, these sponsorships are the brands that go big with SaaStr year round, right? They are outside of just our events. They're engaged with our media. They're engaged with us in trying to leverage the full power of the SaaStr community and do so in creative ways. And so we have, these are invitation only, but if you are interested, you should express so, and we can take it internally to talk about them for sure. As you can see, our Unicorn is sold out. Though we do have some ways in which we can create that kind of level, but it may be more creatively and outside the box. We can try to get that done. So don't get discouraged if that was something that you were absolutely interested in for sure. Yeah. Outside of that,
we've got one diamond. What do the folks get with the diamonds?
Well, thanks for asking, Amelia. No, so right, if you have a diamond sponsorship, again, like one of our key partners, you're helping make SaaStr, but you're coming in to go big. And the brands that do this, right, the return is there. They come back year after year, which is the reason why we only have one this year. Is because the brands that are doing this, they are doing it again. So we try to expand the footprint if we can. That being said, so it's a 20 by 20 exhibit, right? You're going to have your place to go and do that. You're going to get a 30-minute speaking session on the SaaStr stage in person. Woo who, right? Like super cool. You get a 15-minute Q&A on it as well. All that's captured. You can use that later, but man, to talk on the SaaStr stage and have that brand asset, that's going to be really rock solid for you. Get all the placement, our marketing placement throughout the medias that we have all on our website and elsewhere when we're doing our promotions. We'll do all the post, the co-branded email sent out post registered events. So we'll do that as well, pre and post. Your badge branding, logo recognition. I think I've said a lot of this, mobile push notifications during the event. Ultimately, the big piece here is that you're taking a big space at Annual, which is the biggest venue for your brand to be in front of, and you're going to go and promote yourself. And honestly, the brands that do this, like I said, they come back again, but the brands that do this are doing things throughout the year with us, and they're creating an ongoing talk track. So like, this is a unique opportunity. Look at this as like a way in which you can create a category in the cloud and showcase how you're different and why you represent the way you do. It's really kind of a unique opportunity.
Yeah, I would say historically, right, our diamonds, I feel like, have the most fun at Annual because they have a larger footprint. You can get creative within, like, above and beyond what is, provided in the traditional sort of booth layout. Booths that a lot of our diamonds do, some they get really creative with their branding on the booths. They do really cool activations. I know Pendo's done, like, Pendo, I think in 2019 did like caricatures. Brex brought like a fortune teller. Like, they all brought a bunch of swag. Like, again, they have a lot of fun, right? Google Cloud gave out a bunch of Android phones, so that was fun if you were there that year and got a new piece of technology to go home with. So yeah, they all have a lot of fun. They like to get creative with their activations. So this is where, if you want to have more of a creative element feel to it, the diamond is really where a lot of our folks do that, as well as the platinum.
Well, I mean, not to mention, right, you have the footprint to do it. So if you're at the platinum or the diamond level, you have the footprint on the floor to have some fun and create that space, right? So the platinum, right, you have a 10 by 20, also a really nice footprint size, unique place to go and create your brand and create that exposure in that category. So this comes with a 20-minute content session as well, which is also, again, back on the SaaStr stage. It's nice. We kind of brand it as from the desk of speaking session. So it's like from the desk of your CXO, your CEO, like come up in front of the audience and speak about what's going on in your industry. And what's cool is that you're going to work alongside our speaker and content team to do this, which creates that really high caliber, really high bar of content that gets reused over and over and over again.
Yeah. And our speaker team, just on that note, they're actually doing a speaker webinar right now with our speakers for enterprise. So they're not on this call. However, our speaker team is super knowledgeable, right? They've been with us for years, helping us with the Annual, other SaaStr events, podcasts, in-person content. They're super versatile. They work with all of our keynote speakers as well as our sponsors, which I think is an added benefit, right? So they're super knowledgeable. A lot of people like to lean on them for topics, ideas, how to beef up their sessions. Usually folks that like to work in tandem with our content team do end up getting more reg, better leads. It's just something where obviously we know a bit more about what our audience is looking for. And we also know how the agenda overall is shaking up. So it really is sort of a giant puzzle at this sort of planning phase of annual, right? And by the time we get to annual, it's like a nice, clean, polished agenda. But the content team is great at making the puzzle pieces fit, making sure nobody has sort of the same content. So you won't feel like, oh, I have, a from the desk of, but there's another one that sounds exactly like this. That has never happened. We really differentiate everyone's content. Again, we make it super tactical. We work with everyone on like slides, presentation tips. They've helped folks with like IRL presentation tips. So, they've worked with, the Aaron Levy's, the Stuart Butterfields, and the Jennifer Tejadas of the world. So you'll be in good company and good hands with our speaker team.
Yeah, they are audience hackers for sure. I think one of the other things too that they really do a wonderful job of is we attempt to, as best as we can, to make sure that a session that is captivating a certain audience isn't also going on at the same time that is going on for that same type of audience. We don't want to dilute the audience if we do. So we're trying to make it so that you can capture who it is you're trying to target when you're up on stage. So that's really an important call out. Super Gold. Okay, so we're getting into more of our more common sponsorships, what we have, right? The Super Gold sponsorship, it's definitely a great presence on the floor, still a 10 by 15. You get a 10-minute speaking session with this, kind of like a quick, like, it's almost like an update from the cloud, if you will, right? Like you're going to get up and throw down some brain nuggets in front of a captive audience, and that's definitely fun. But Super Gold, another place that you could do an activation. Don't bring a clown. People don't like clowns. Just kidding. Maybe you like the clown. I don't know. Do popcorn or something. I think someone's gonna get popcorn. I want caramel corn at the. Anyway, I'm on a rant.
Yeah. So our team can work with you on that too. If you were like,
right,
I want to bring food. I want some sort of activation. We can handle all the logistics. You tell us what you want. You got the budget for it. We'll make it happen.
100%. Yeah. Not to mention we have all the contacts for putting together your signage and your logos and graphics and making sure that you have a really nice representation at this. I should say, right? If you're a brand out there that's like, man, I don't want to do an activation. I want to be able to come and just like show up and be there. Look, like the reality is that our booths are turnkey. And so we want to make it so that this is really accessible for you. If you want to show up with a bowl of candy and go, like you could. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely could. Right. I think one thing to note is the Super Gold level is our last IRL level that comes with a content component. Yeah. And then we move on. So it is one of our most popular sponsorships because it does have that content aspect. And then we go into the golds, which is, again, to Brian's point, super turnkey.
Super turnkey. This is going to sell out, right? So like, let me just put this out there.
It's almost sold
gold,
out.
Yeah, our gold and super gold is going to sell out. It's a matter of like not if, but when at this point. So the reality is like, if this is interesting for you and you want to have your spot at annual, this is definitely something you need to get in touch with us right away on so that we can create that plan with you and get you squared away.
Yeah. A lot of people love the gold. Again, super turnkey. Easier to just get your graphics on, think about what you want to do in the booth, and just, send your team, show up, work for, get in tune with how we do networking. A lot of sponsors like to take advantage of that as well. So a great sponsorship there, and our most popular. And then the bronzes are actually sold out already.
So bronze is currently sold out. That being said, our bronze digital is still something we can talk about. So like, don't get discouraged by this. If you are interested in being with us at annual and you don't have the budget for the 60K, but you want to be able to have some presence, still reach out. We might be able to figure out how we can make that happen. And we're pretty able in that regard, right? At least we try to be, and not in every instance, but in a lot we are. So, Amelia forwards here to our digital component. Like we said, this is going to be a super hybrid event, one that was going to be open for everyone. We want access to all, and we know how difficult of a time this is for many parts of the world right now, especially if you're in Europe right now or APAC. Like it's not the same, right? It's not the same everywhere. So, and we get that. So we want you to be able to participate and be in front of this audience. We have a couple of different opportunities digitally. the big differentiation in digital versus in person, outside of the fact of actually being in person, but one of the big one of the big differentiators is the access to speaking, right? So your sponsorship in the digital format is going to come by way of a speaking session, 20-minute thought leadership piece on the Super Gold sponsorship, where you're going to bring on like typically like a fireside chat works really well. You bring a customer up on board with you, you get a content piece together with our content and speaker team, and you build this idea. And so what we go and do is create this piece that when your session's up and live, all the session registrants that come on and sign up will be delivered to you as a lead within 48 hours after the event, which is pretty awesome. On top of that, our Super Gold this year also includes what we're calling an Iron sponsorship. Our Iron sponsorship is an unmanned booth placement at SaaStr in person. So, but if you can't be there, you can still be there, right? And what that'll look like is some way in which you can create your brand presence. You'll have a like a 5x10 kind of spot. It won't be manned, but you will have a TV. You can run your spot there, some sort of reel if you'd like, to create some buzz and branding during the in-person event and not miss out on that. So
Yep.
totally awesome. Something to call out here too, our digital sessions are all live streamed. So, right. And that's a big call out. I know Jason in the SaaStr's brand, we have over 500,000 followers on Twitter. We got 20,000 on YouTube. We have a huge footprint. And so when we have those followers to shoot it out to the SaaStr universe and be able to make it open to everyone, this is going to be the event where when you're live, people are going to watch. They're going to want to be a part of it and see what's going on. So that's a large value there. The content's captured, it's kept forever. It'll be used on our blog. It'll be used throughout our different assets, media assets. But additionally, you'll get the long tail of it forever because these assets live in perpetuity. So that's pretty awesome and a good call out there.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add, right, on the subject of streaming, IRL digital, right? For those who are IRL, that is all recorded. Most of that is also streamed. So again, it's really, do you want to be in person and have a mostly in-person presence, right? Whether it's the content, the booth, interacting with folks, that you can all do in person, right? Either way, you get the leads from your session of those who signed up, those who attended, plus our overall viewer counts, which we give to you post-event. And then to Brian's point, all of our content lives long till after the event. So if you guys know how we sort of promote things out, it will live on afterwards. We've gotten viewerships has been a lot, right? Like we've had like a few thousand folks tune into each, and sponsors in particular, right? Like on average anywhere between 1 to 5,000. I've seen it go upwards to 10. We've had folks who, did a live stream or did an in-person event, then have that content live long tail. So getting many more views as well on YouTube, which is why, our speaker team does work to craft with you a piece of content that not only works in the moment at the event, but also can live on so that we can use it, keep promoting it after the event's over. We can send it to you guys as an asset and you can use it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's a great point, Amelia. This is not like these content pieces are not product pitches, right? Like these content pieces are thought leadership pieces showcasing how your brand owns this part of the cloud and knows it well, right? Knows it well, knows the customer segment, knows how they're helping the cloud. And honestly, and for the content marketers on this, listening to this, I know that you'd agree that those that are creating the thought leadership in the space are the ones that are winning the cloud. That's how that works right now. So, couple other opportunities for digital only. If you wanted to do a digital only sponsorship, meaning you didn't want anything in person, you're not going to be there, for whatever reason, that's completely fine. We have that opportunity as well. The gold digital sponsorship is pretty much the Super Gold without the iron on. That's pretty much what it is, but you'll still get that 20-minute thought leadership piece. You'll still be able to go and be able to have your representation and your branding. Additionally, though, we have a bronze So our bronze digital is not sold out yet. It will be sold out, but this is a roundtable conversation. So a little different than our thought leadership pieces on the hyper workshop side on the left. On the right hand side under bronze, this is more about engaging an audience, engaging an audience on a piece of on a topic, right? So we'll help you put together who your panel is, who your speakers are. You'll create your topic. You'll have about 10 minutes to set that topic up, 10 minutes to open up questions to the audience, and yeah, and have some representation there. Yeah, you're muted, Amelia.
Oh,
It's a
sorry.
part. That's a party foul.
I know, sorry. The last thing we wanted to call out, right? There is some, you'll notice in our content, there is some differences in how content is structured. So if you look at the different levels, we mentioned a from the desk of, that's super similar to a hyper workshop. One of them's in person, one of them's digital. But again, this is meant to be super tactical from your CEO's desk, what they're thinking about, how they're thinking through things, any cool data they're seeing. Those sessions work really well. Then you'll see it sort of the bronze level digitally, there's a round table. So this session is more entry level, it's more interactive. It's meant to be more of an overview of trends you're seeing. We've had folks bring customers for like color commentary, but it's really interactive where you can chat with the audience, and it's actually meant to be that way. So all the content there in Roundtable is structured to be interactive. So it's a little bit different than the hyper workshop and a bit more intimate, right? So that's where you're sort of a difference there in the amount of expected leads you can get first in a bronze versus a gold. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, I think we've hit a lot of things, Brian. So any last things you want to hit?
Listen, like the big pieces here, the brands that come to annual are the ones that win in the cloud, and we know that. And this is where we've been creating. It's a brief story, but I promise it's a true one. When I was at Aircall, so I was at Aircall previously to SaaStr, and we were a longtime partner of SaaStr. We had come back several times, and I remember like one of the years that I was there, my first year contributing, and I was talking to Colin Cadmus, who was my VP at the time, and I said, Colin, why am I sending half my SDRs to SaaStr Annual? And he goes, because to be at Annual is to exist. And I would always remembered that. And so like, it's kind of an arrogant thing maybe to come from now someone who works for the brand, but the reality is that it's a true story. We want you to be a part of this cloud and be a part of the growth that's happening, because the cloud is exploding and you're a part of that growth model. So go tell your story, come join us there. And we hope to see you at SaaStr Annual this year.
Yeah, and how can folks get in touch if they want to learn more? I've thrown the sponsor email up here. How can they get in touch with you directly?
So look, first and foremost, if you were to go on sponsors at SaaStr Inc. and like send us a note, like we'll definitely get that. All of us get that. We're on that. But additionally, if you were to send one to Brian with a Y at SaaStr Inc., you can get me right away directly. Additionally, I live on LinkedIn to a point where it's probably detrimental to other things in my life. So you can get me there as well. But go reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions you have whatsoever. And yeah, however I can help.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, thanks.